Pledge of allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm a bit congested this morning, not to fear it, not contagious. It's a sinus infection, so. And I am medicated, and I had sputtered. With that said.
We know you've been medicated for a long time.
Thanks for that. You can always count me.
The Commissioner's Office is requesting the Board approve and execute resolution number 15-155 in support of the National Green Light Event campaign.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Clinton?
All right. Let me read
Yeah, you
this
gotta read that.
resolution, and I'm going to ask Michelle to come up and say a couple of words about it. I don't know. I see some veterans in the room, and I want to call out Mr. Hollis in particular, World War II vet, 90-plus years old. I won't talk about that, but a very special veteran that happens to be in this room this morning, and a special person. So this is an effort that was put together by the National Veterans Administration or Association and Walmart, and I think it's a really cool thing what they're doing, where they're saying that if you put a green light in your window at your business, wherever, then you recognize veterans, and particularly with tomorrow being Veterans Day, it's a special day. This is a pretty cool thing. For whatever this is worth, I have probably the only case of green lights left in Geauga County.
And my daughter scrambled all over the county trying to find green bulbs.
I'm donating this to whoever, take one, and so you can come over and come up and get one. So after we're done with the resolution, and all that kind of stuff to show your support.
I'll take one. I got one.
Be careful, there's some broken glass in the bottom of that. So with that, let me read this resolution, and then we'll let Michelle come up and say a few words. It says, the veterans in America are the bravest, hardest working people, or hardest working men and women in our nation. With over 22 million in the United States, the Green Light Event is a national campaign to visibly show support for those veterans, our veterans, by simply changing one light in your home, on your front porch, or in your offices to go green and show appreciation and support. By the way, this is a continuous, this is not just for Veterans Day, this is a continuous thing. And whereas the color green symbolizes hope, renewal, and well-being, by changing one bulb to a green light, you're supporting the movement forward towards the recognition that our nation's veterans are valued members of our communities. And whereas the Board of County Commissioners are asking you to support this program and make this one simple change of a light bulb to green, and help our nation make a strong statement of showing support to all those who have served. And now therefore be resolved that the Geauga County Board of Commissioners do hereby support the National Green Light Event campaign, ask the residents of Geauga County to do the same, and show your support for our national veterans. Be it further resolved that this resolution becomes part of the permanent record of the Board of County Commissioners in Geauga County, Ohio. Michelle, you want to come up and say a few words?
Good morning.
Morning, Michelle.
Sorry.
Tell everybody who you are.
I apologize, I'm sick as well. I'm Michelle with Geauga County Veteran Services. I'm the director. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for bringing this to the attention of the community. This year alone, roughly 250,000 members of the U.S. military will be transitioning back into civilian life. With that in mind, a new campaign urging communities and individuals to greenlight a vet and show your support. The Greenlight a Vet program encourages actions like thanking a veteran, hiring veterans at your place of business, or simply showing your support to those that have served. When the veterans make that transition, they leave behind those personal and professional networks of support that they have built while in the military. It can be difficult to adjust back to civilian life, find employment, and start to rebuild their own support systems. So on this day, and on every day after, I ask that you greenlight a vet and show your continued support to those veterans that have proudly served this great country and our local community.
Thank you.
So I'd like to recognize Mr. Hollis. If you wouldn't mind, could you stand and be recognized? behalf of Geauga County Commissioners, I'd like to present the certificate to the Veterans Administration.
Thank you
Michelle.
very much.
And thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
And we are in the process of working with you guys to make sure to get your facilities
Yes.
straightened away.
Definitely.
So, Mr. Hollis, could you, I don't know if you'd be up for saying a few words about your military experience, but as one of the greatest generation, as we refer to you.
Hey, Commissioner Claypool, do you mind if I speak for Mr.
Yeah,
Hall?
absolutely
He
not.
gets shy in a crowd. He was in the 497th Field Artillery as a forward observer tank driver, between the lines, basically. And he served in the military from November of 1942 until February of 1944. He was part of the 13th Armored Division. I'm sorry, what? General Patton's Third Army. And between the lines, he's written up with his tank in a 50th anniversary book honoring the 13th Armored Division, because they had a little problem in their tank between the lines, because every time their lieutenant would radio in to the coordinates, the 88s were able to hone in on them where they were between the lines. But Dub got him out of trouble, and as the main driver, and he crossed 2 rivers at flood stage on a pontoon bridge in the tank, and the bridge would disappear below the water line from the weight of the tank on it. So, and it had a curve in it to boot. So if you fell off the bridge, you were gone. So then there were lots of things that happened to him, and I'm glad he got back. So he's here. 93, he'll be 94 in February.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to quote another gentleman here from the USS Cod, and I know he would be a World War II
No
veteran.
matter where I'm at, I remember Pearl Harbor, for one thing. I was old enough. Whenever I see a World War II veteran, I served Army, Air Force, and now I've been 16 years with the COD giving tours. Disabled veteran. Every time I see a World War II veteran, I go to and shake his hand and thank him, because we'd be talking German and Japanese right now. And it's because of you. We're not. Thank you, sir.
For the record, can you say who you are? For the record, can you state your name?
Oh, my hearing went. Uncle Sam took that too. Bob Lasko, and my wife, my lady Esther, from here in Chardon.
And you served in what branch of the service?
I was with the Army 59 to 65, 101st Airborne Division. Then I went to Third Army from Fort McClellan, Alabama, Chemical Corps. 79 to 94, I was Air Force Reserve all over the world, Korea, and served also all over Europe. And then 2000, when I retired, I became a peacetime crew member of the USS Cod, and I've been giving the tours down there for the last 16 years.
Well, I thank you, and if
Yeah,
nobody...
thank you for your service.
Yep, thank you. And if anybody, have you ever taken the tour of the COD? If you've not taken a tour of the COD in downtown Cleveland, you would think that it's the most boring thing in the world until you do it. It is inspiring to go through this tube and to discover what people had to do in order to defend this country in those submarines. And God bless the people that go in those submarines, because you would never get into the water when you're in that space. I'll fly in an airplane with no engine on the front before I'll get down in one of those.
When I give the tours, before I go down, when we have the young people that are preschoolers or in kindergarten or first grade, they don't know what a submarine is, they can't relate to it. So just to break the ice with them, make them comfortable, I tell them we're gonna go inside this boat. It's a big hollow hot dog, and we're gonna go down inside where the men live.
it is amazing to me if you, to go through it and to see the close quarters, all of the technology of the day in the submarine. It is worth going through, so I would encourage you to do that and go see Bob because he'll give you a good tour. So with that said, thank you, veterans, and for your service, and Blake for yours. So,
As well.
And
And David.
oh, that's right, right, Dave, that's right, Dave
Yeah,
too.
there's three of us
So,
here.
that's right. So thank you, and we can go ahead and move on.
Oh, don't forget the lights are up here. And maybe we should move them to the back.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let me grab those, John. Yeah.
Why don't you put them right outside the door and people can grab one off?
Come on, here, drive it.
Nope, sorry, I was sent up.
Good for you.
Standing here yet. Thank you.
Nice. Come on down.
We'll be right out here.
Can you flip that on? That's the only thing. The other part is that.
Okay, financials today include a supplemental appropriation for the common pleas pre-sentence investigation fund for the repayment of the payroll advance that was made in January from the general fund. Cash transfers out of the general fund for 2015 funding for the court technology and the transit department. Contract for Platform Cement Incorporated for the Hawksmoor Way Sanitary Sewer Realignment Project for the Department of Water Resources in the amount of $99,700. Travel request for the Department of Job and Family Services. Payment to Ohio CAT for the state term schedule purchase of a Caterpillar 308E series mini hydraulic excavator for the Department of Water Resources in the amount of $100,910. And the payment to Millstone Management for payment number 1 for the Board of DD Adult Services Building Canopy Replacement Project in the amount of $25,290.32.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spillier?
I'm gonna abstain.
Commissioner Clickwell?
What's that? Oh, it is about China. Before I vote, and I'm gonna vote yes, I'm gonna make a comment about the juvenile court. They have a line item on here for $10,000, which was monies used outside of the FLIP program to pay for another bill. We checked with the state auditor this morning just for general awareness, because this is, normally it's tough to pay for things out of a line item when it's not coming out of the proper fund, and we had to check to see if that was a proper thing to do. The state auditor is continuing to look at it, as I understand, but right now they cleared us being able to do that, in case anybody has any question on that. But it speaks to best practices, and it's not a best practice to do that sort of thing. So I just want to make a comment on that. It's hard to manage budgets if you're not keeping track of where the funds, where the monies are coming out of to pay various line items. So I just want to make that note. With that said, yes.
These are not complicated. They're very,
Straightforward thing.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah, they decided they didn't need to fill the position of housekeeper because they.
The contractor with Mrs. Seiler.
That's the first one, and the other one
And the
just
other one?
releasing a bid performance bond.
Yeah, they got missed when we did the rest of them.
Okay.
When I was releasing them, I found that there was a big one.
What are we talking about?
Aging.
Yep.
The Department on Aging is requesting the board close the current posting for the position of housekeeper number 1033.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Busy signing my name.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Clickwell? Department on Aging is requesting the board release the bid performance bond for Maple Road doing business as First Light Home Care for the homemaker and personal care services for Geauga residents age 16 over as all specifications have been met.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Clickwell?
Morning.
Morning, Ed.
How's everybody?
Good.
Today, we're actually just here to close out the grant, our 17th grant that we've taken from the FAA that we took in 2014 as we've completed it. This was one that had a aerial survey in it, and I shared with you the aerial survey mapping of all of our obstructions that we have to have removed, and we did get word just yesterday that we did get approved for a grant from the state to help us get rid of those obstructions. So we'll be starting that actually very shortly. You know, we have a short season to be able to take down trees due to the Indiana bats. So we will try to get that all done before.
Did they migrate back to Indiana?
Actually, they're in Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, and if there's a habitat for them, you cannot cut trees down from the 1st of April to the end of September if the habitat exists, and apparently it has existed previously at the airport. So, we have to get
Where do they
all
go
done.
during that time, do you know?
Well, that summertime is when they're in the areas, and then they migrate south apparently for some of the farther south for the winter time, so a little bit. But, yeah.
Nothing to eat up here.
Apparently. So that's it's just one of those things you have to contend with, and so we'll be starting that as soon as we get all the bids back and accept our lowest bidder and get started. And the first thing we'll do is we'll be removing the obstructions just from our property, and then with Laura's help, we have devised a form that we'll be taking around to the neighbors to be able to also remove trees that have grown up too tall in their yards that are also a safety issue in federal airspace. One thing at a time. We're getting there. We did just finish our project of sharing up the teenagers. A little bit of cleanup to do, but they're not gonna fall down now.
The Geauga County Airport Authority is requesting the board acknowledge and approve the project closeout report for FAA Project 33900541714, reconstruct apron and taxiway, and further acknowledge and approve and authorize the president of the board to execute the FAA outlay report and request for reimbursement number 8, final in the amount of $6,100.90, $5,490 FAA portion, and $610.90 local county match.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spudler?
Aye.
Commissioner Claypool?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good group of EAA guys out
You know, they are the pulse of our airport. I'm part-time, so when I am not there, they are excellent ambassadors to our county, to everybody that comes in. They are very, very helpful. These guys can do just about anything. They can build aircraft, so when I have a project and I put it before them, they kind of, well, this is gonna be tough. I said, hey, you can build an airplane, you can do this for me. I'm sure it'll work out, and they're excellent to work with. They are the pulse of our airport.
there. They have a guy out there that's got a glass air, which is a home-built aircraft, which is really cool.
It is absolutely state-of-the-art.
It is, he's got all glass cockpit, so there's no typical gauges. If you would look at the inside of the cockpit, you would normally see, an altimeter and airspeed indicator and all that kind of stuff. Everything in this cockpit, which makes me feel uneasy because I'm an old guy and I'm used to seeing gauges. It's all glass. It is really cool.
It's actually one of my favorite things when we have a school group come in to show them a traditional Cessna 172 and the gauges in it, have them get in, sit in it, see the old-time gauges that are in most of those older aircraft, and then have them come and sit in this modern one with all computer technology. It is just a night and day difference. Absolutely incredible. This guy happens to tinker, I think, more than he flies, but he loves the latest gadgets, and as soon as one comes out, it's in his airplane, and he's bragging about it. And he's the president of the EAA chapter, and for a few years now, it has grown from being about 25 members to having over 65 members. And it's very active. I think we are one of the oldest chapters, Chapter 5 of EAA, and we are one of the most active chapters.
People had to go out and take a tour to see the juxtaposition of the glass air, which is a very, very modern home-built aircraft. The guy built this thing from, your impression might be that it's strung together with bubble gum tissue paper, but it is just a phenomenal, neat airplane. And probably this one of the safest airplanes in the sky. Aircraft engine, automobile engine, Subaru car engine.
Subaru car engine, so it uses automobile gas.
See that next to the airplane that's hanging from the ceiling, which is a little, I don't know the name.
Ultralight.
Yeah, but what was the, do you know what the name of the ultralight? It's like a tricycle or it's something or other. Single seat.
They built a
It's
whole
really
bunch
cool.
in that Geauga. I don't remember the name of it right now. What I think is neatest about the aircraft that he built is the paint job. He went to great lengths to find a paint that actually changes color in the light. So when you're looking at it from one angle, it has a blue stripe on it. When you go around and the light changes a little bit, that blue stripe turns to green, and that's really cool. It is really cool. We have a lot of building going on. We try to always get on the Geauga County Tourism's road, well, it used to be road rally, so that people can come around and come in and see, and these guys are there with their home builds. They like to show them off. And we have some very unusual things there, and we have some very modern things there. Medevac is out there, and then the Glider Club is also out there, so there's a lot to see at the airport.
It's a really neat asset. I don't think people really understand it or appreciate it. When I was there taking my my glider ride, a guy came screaming in on a Twin Commander, 200 feet or so over the trees to land amidst the gliders going in and out of there, and you have the EA chapter. It's just a very vital, a lot of activity going on out there, and I think the average person probably isn't aware of that.
And it's a public airport, and on Saturdays, they're hopping. You know, they're working on their airplanes. They're, during the summer, they're giving glider rides. Medevac's helicopters usually out, and you're welcome to stop by and visit. They like to show off their things, their gadgets.
Thanks, I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I think they're rethinking how they're gonna fill that position with Ken Folsom's departure, so they decided to pull the advertisement for the deputy director. That's fine.
The Department of Emergency Services is requesting the board rescind the motion from October 27th, 2015, that had grant permission to advertise for the position of Deputy Director of Preparedness number 1711. This position remains posted until filled.
Make that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Claypool?
We don't have Matt here either. Sure, everybody's just-
He's asking to hire a part-time shelter attendant. Ms. Jenna Wells.
Can you go ahead and read it?
The dog warden is requesting the board approve hiring Jenna Wells to the position of part-time shelter attendant number 1607-1 to be effective November 23rd, 2015, at a rate of $10.47 per hour. After the successful completion of a 1,000-hour probationary period, the rate will increase to $11.02 per hour.
Make that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Claypool?
These guys are here.
Morning.
Morning. I don't want you to get any idea about a floating bridge. You better have something on here that's not floating.
We can do that.
Okay.
First item we have on here is the final change order for our new office building. Just basically, it's a cleanup of the contract, so there's no change in the original contract amount until it came in at final contract amount.
Nope, go ahead.
The county engineer's office is requesting the board approve and execute change order number 1 final with no change in the contract with Lakeland Management Systems for the new engineer's office building.
Make that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Claypool?
I have one question on this, though, Dave. Is this something we need to approve, these kinds of things? I mean, if there's no contract change, we've already signed the contract, are these kinds of things something we need to sign?
It just closes out it's the final document, so there's a finish to the job, basically.
Yeah, I mean, there's a change order, and that's a document you're required to sign. In this case, there's no dollar change.
Right.
Yeah,
But if there's no- if
We had
there's
some
no
change in the
changes,
scope of work. We deleted some items, we added some items. Those are identified in there, but they all came in basically at contract amount.
So I'm just wondering if this could fall into that category of
Perhaps.
administrative things, and so I'm just asking the question to know that
Yeah.
it could smooth our meetings out.
Yep.
These kinds of things could just be part of the administrative process.
Item number 9 on here is to release a RUMA, the Road Use Repair and Maintenance Mutual Agreement between the Geauga County Board of Commissioners and Chesapeake Energy for the Mass Oil on Newcomb Road. The Mass Oil has requested that that bond be released, as no work has been performed and they have no anticipation of any work. This is basically an agreement to release the bond.
They're not using this anymore,
No.
and so they've abandoned it. What's the likelihood that there's gonna be some issue in the future?
As of right now, there's no chance, that they basically said that they won't be coming back into this well at all. But if they do, then we would have to redo this room. We would
I'm just
redo it.
saying, if they didn't cap it, or they didn't.
It's all sealed off completely.
They did,
Everything is-
it's
yeah,
all
everything
sealed
is
off, they
done.
removed all their
Right,
equipment,
It's
we're
still a
not.
test where they can do some possible explorations in the future, but it's basically, if they don't come back, it's complete.
It's dormant, nothing's gonna happen, nothing
Correct.
bad is gonna happen.
Correct,
Okay.
as far as we know.
The county engineer's office is requesting the board approve the release of the roadway use repair and maintenance mutual agreement between the Geauga County Board of Commissioners and Chesapeake Exploration LLC for the masked oil and gas well located on Newcomb Road, as all operations have ceased and there are no plans to commence operations in the near future, and further release the bond.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spudler?
Aye.
Commissioner Claypool?
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're tag teaming today.
Good morning, board.
All right.
I have home bearing gifts. A colorized map of the county road program for next year. Last month I came in to request approval for the Ohio Public Works funded projects, and today I'm presenting the 5 remaining county road projects for 2016. They are items 10 through 14 on the agenda for applying pavement markings, the replacement of the bridge on Cuts Road, the resurfacing of Gingrich Road, the resurfacing of Chardon Windsor sections I and J, and the resurfacing of Butternut and Hale Road, sections I, J of Butternut and section A of Hale Road. And they're now presented on the map by type of road, whether it's a resurfacing, a mill and fill, or in the case of the bridge replacement.
So I noticed that you've got some that are federal highway asphalt resurfacing. Are those gonna receive now NOACA funds, or are we requesting NOACA funds for those?
That's in the legend of the map. We do not have any federal aid funded projects for 2016.
Okay, so we're funding, that's being funded how?
There are none for next year.
What is that green? Because you have a green that says federal highway, and there's a couple of green lines there. So I didn't know if that, maybe I'm confused. I thought that those were projects for 2016.
It's mill and asphalt
So you got-
resurfacing.
You got this one.
This is a mill and asphalt resurfacing is green.
Right. And it's a federal highway.
No, the federal highway is this is,
Oh, I see. I'm
Two tabs.
confused. I got you. All right, I'm sorry.
that's to indicate the symbols on the map. This is a federal highway like US 6 or US 322 versus a state highway and a county highway.
Yeah, I got you. I was reading straight across. so-
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Do you want to do 10 and 14? For all the resolution projects?
And we are asking, at this time, this is the first resolution to get our design work started. We'll be back for final plan approval and scope, either in December or January, probably.
County Engineer's Office is requesting the board approve and execute resolution number 15-157 to improve various sections of county roads by applying pavement markings for the year 2016. The County Engineer's Office is requesting the board Approve and execute resolution number 15-158 to reconstruct the bridge structure number 72-0.49 on Cuss Road, Township Road 72 in Hampton Township. The County Engineer's Office is requesting the Board approve and execute resolution number 15-159 to improve Dingrich Road CH 34 Section A in Burton Township. The County Engineer's Office is requesting the Board approve and execute resolution number 15-160 to improve Chardon Windsor Road CH 13 Sections I through J in Huntsburg Township. The County Engineer's Office is requesting the Board approve and execute resolution number 15-161 to improve Hill Road CH 15 Section A and Butternut Road CH 21 Sections I through J in Burton Township.
I'll make those motions.
Second.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spudler?
Aye.
Commissioner Claypool?
Thank you. And on this day of recognizing our veterans, I'd like to recognize the U.S. Marines for their 240th birthday today on November 10th, 1775. So,
Hoorah.
thank you, Boyd.
You go to St. Mary's Church tomorrow for the dinner at noon?
No, I wasn't aware of that.
Oh, yeah. The Ohio Ordinance is putting it up for all veterans at St. Mary's Church in their home at noon tomorrow, right?
Very good. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, she didn't like what she heard, so she left.
Some have two, some have three.
Seen the deer yesterday?
Couple of them.
Did you get one?
No.
You're still looking for those big horns?
Piece back.
This morning on my way in, on Forest, there's a big, huge field on the right-hand side. One deer just all in the middle. I was like, well, he's by himself. He'll drop. Then, like, it's unusual for him to be standing out in the middle of the field all by himself
Yeah.
at that time of the day.
Right, yeah.
Had a little 4-point come out over the weekend in my backyard. I went to grab my bow and my grandson were running out in the woods. Go, go, go! You know, it's not exactly how we hunt.
That's right.
Not sending out Molly?
I thought I saw her walk up the sidewalk. I thought.
Well, there's a lull, Mike. Your question concerning the floating bridges. When I was in the service in 58, 59, I was in the 3rd Infantry Division in a combat engineer outfit. And that's what we did in the combat engineers. We had a shovel in one hand and a rifle on our back because we were frontline. We built the bridges that the infantry and the Marines went across. So Yeah, I spent a couple of years putting up those floating bridges and that kind of stuff.
I don't watch a lot of television, but because I fall asleep during it if I'm watching a night show, so I concentrate on the military and history channel. Because if I fall asleep during the invasion of Normandy and I wake up, I know I can pick up on the plot, or if I wake up in the morning, I know how it turned out. But last night there was a 2-hour special on about the Battle of the Bulge and how they had to cross. They were crossing on a lot of pontoon bridges there. Primarily because we were blowing the bridges up when the Germans were coming in, and we needed pontoon bridges on the way back.
Yeah.
There was no way to go, but yeah, that's a challenging work, and especially at the Battle of the Bulge, it was winter, and that water looked awful cold, and they were down in there waist deep, attaching boats to
And
ramps
I
and.
swear the water in Germany really is cold.
Well,
Because that's where we were.
You know, each of the military endeavors that we get ourselves into has their own unique challenges. And I've got 2 kids in the service right now, both served in Afghanistan and Iraq. And some of the challenges that our troops have to put up with today are
Far over and above, yeah.
are really challenging. You know, you're in a war situation and yet you're told you're not allowed to shoot somebody that's shooting at you. It's a shame in some cases. So our kids today, and if you see them, if you go to any of our military facilities and you see the kids and the young men, I don't want to say kids, my sons are in their 30s and 40s, they just they get you all, chest all puffed up. Really, you should be proud of our military because they are phenomenal. So, good,
The most concerning thing to me is when the greatest generation won the Second World War, the vast majority of Americans, American families, were directly connected to military service. Vietnam, there were still draftees, so there was still fairly widely dispersed commitment to the military. Today, the vast majority of Americans, American families, have no connection whatsoever personally to military service, and that's very unfortunate. It's really not right, in my opinion.
And it certainly creates a whole different set of values. So,
Our 3 children, we have 4 veterans at our home. I have a sign out on a tree in front. My daughter served Navy. My son, oldest one, John, served Navy and Army. My youngest son served Army. My oldest son, John, he had 3 stages of combat, 2 in the Navy and 1 in the Army at Desert Storm. In the Navy, he came home and he said, he was on a landing craft. He says, Dad, I went in to get the Marines out of Lebanon. The snipers were shooting and the Marines were dropping. I'm manning a .50 caliber machine gun on the landing craft, empty, no ammunition. We're crying, begging for ammunition to shoot back at the ones that are killing our Marines. And the answer came back, the government said not to give us any ammunition to fire back because the government does not want to cause an incident to these people from us. In other words, if we killed one of them, then there would be the political games starting to play.
it's a different world and a sad situation from many of our perspectives. Let's go ahead and move on to item 15. The courts are not here to talk about this. I will mention that, and I'm assuming that we're going to proceed on this. I did reach out to the court yesterday and kind of got an understanding, and at least my understanding, the best that I can determine it, is that this is an ongoing existing activity that's being, that they're moving people that are already doing the job into this particular function. And we're talking about, if you're not reading the agenda, it's providing peer, juvenile peer review assistance and so on and so forth. And so this activity will be funded through this grant that they receive, or they're receiving, for individuals that are already in essence doing the job. And so I don't know if anybody else has got a different understanding of this, but that's what the request is. I have mixed emotions in terms of whether it's necessary or not. It's not my place to judge the court's activity in this regard. I don't have any issue with voting on this, yes, so.
This is just a application.
Yeah. So with that said, I throw it out to the other commissioners to make a motion if you choose to do that.
The probate juvenile court is requesting the board approve and authorize the president of the board to execute the juvenile accountability block grant for a restorative justice program juvenile peer review for the period February 1st, 2016 through December 31st, 2016 in the amount of $14,265.57, $12,839.01 JABG funds, and $1,426.56 cash match from the juvenile court special projects fund.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Claypool?
Aye.
Where's Laura?
Is Laura here? Are you
Hi,
speaking for
Laura.
the prosecutor's office?
Yes, I am. We have an employee who filed a workers' comp claim, and essentially, we've already had the first stage of the proceedings down at the Bureau of Workers' Compensation. The claim was denied initially, and it was appealed by the employee, and we're now doing the second level proceedings. The employee's claiming occupational injury, which is essentially kind of a repetitive injury. So, because it's our employee, we need somebody to represent our office at the hearing. So hopefully, these won't be lengthy proceedings. Hearings are generally maybe an hour, 2 hours tops, and we'll just go from there.
We talked yesterday, you already know who the counsel's gonna be and what the rate's gonna be
Yes,
on
yes.
this, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. For the record, it's $2.25 an hour for the attorney to do this. And
Which I think is a really.
Right, and it's not expected to take a whole lot of hours, correct?
Correct. It's not like, a case that's in litigation going through the court system.
Right, it's already been through one time, there's the rules.
And it's just an administrative proceeding. They have a hearing down at the Bureau of Workers' Comp, then they have, then they'll have another one, and, we'll just go from there. But we think for the most part that, that the county's, interest would be served by hiring outside counsel, honestly. The beauty of it is, this is the first workers' compensation claim that we've had in 15 plus years, so hopefully we'll have another one for as long.
Prosecutor's office is requesting the board approve and execute the application of the prosecuting attorney and board of county commissioners for appointment of counsel pursuant to ORC 305.14.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Claypool?
Can I take the original back after? Okay. And I'll let you know how it's going to teach you.
Which one's the
The
original?
top two go back to
It's
her,
just
and
gonna
the bottom
go
one
on.
is ours.
Get some comfortable
Top
chairs
two.
and pillows.
Top two.
I know. Here we go, I think it's gonna be a good thing, but.
And then the next one down. Yep. those two
This
go back to
one?
her. Yep.
Go to Laura.
shoot there, Mark.
Thank
I
you.
know.
Okay, thanks.
And what's the next ditty about?
Jeffrey. Good morning, Ken.
Was this in one, or did I miss it?
This was actually on several weeks ago, and it was pulled because Laura said we were doing it and nothing.
Today, you're being asked to look at a restatement of our 125 cafeteria plan. It was originally developed in 1990 and was amended in 1997. Previously, you approved the NEO administration to develop this restatement, and I definitely enlisted Laura LaChapelle's help in making sure we were going, and she actually has been very instrumental in reviewing this and ensuring that NEO administration has attorneys on their board that are also looking at this too. So I have great confidence that this 125 plan is where we need to be. And I really want to thank Laura for all her help. I mean, it was a lot of work and a lot of time, and she did a great job. So basically, enrolling in the group health plan and participating in the section 125 plan are two different things. The coverage is provided under the group health insurance plan, and the actual benefits are determined by the terms of that plan, which, as you know, you are totally responsible for our group health plan under the Ohio Revised Code. The Section 125 plan is actually a separate benefit plan that exists only to allow employees to pay their share of the premium with pre-tax income. So an employee's participation in the 125 plan only refers to his agreement to pay for his share of the premiums pre-tax. It does not enroll him for group health plan or anything like that. It's almost like two separate plans. So I had to kind of wrap my head around this whole concept of 125 and our group health care plan. But along with that, if an employee decides to take pre-tax option, there are rules that you have to follow according to the IRS. And we actually have been following those rules, and SEPCO is an excellent watchdog in making sure that we follow them. So for example, an employee at this point, and how we have been administering it, is we have a form, it's called the premium tax election form. And the employee has the choice to either take their deduction, their contribution, which was $92 for this year for the enhanced family. They could take that pre-tax, or they could take it after tax. I think we have two people that chose to take it after tax for whatever reasons that they had, but the majority of our employees do take that pre-tax option. But along with that, and really just with the administration of our health care plan, there are rules, meaning you can't go on and off that plan during the year just because you feel like it. There has to be documentation. If there's a birth, if there's a divorce, I call them qualifying events, a dependent loses coverage and wants to come onto our plan, all of that has to be documented in accordance with the 125 plan, because an employee's contribution rate could fluctuate, and we need to make sure we're keeping track of why that's happening. So that's pretty much in a nutshell what this is. The big change that we are making, and NEO recommended, was that we make like a blanket statement. We are taking all benefit plans pre-tax. If you choose that you want to do it after tax, you can waive that, but the employee won't be required to fill out a form making a choice. The choice is pre-tax, but if you really want to go the other way, you can fill out this waiver form. The other side of doing this is that within 90 days, the employee needs a summary plan design, or a summary plan description, to be in their hands within 90 days that you choose to do this. We're looking at making this effective retroactive to October 1st, because I had been in here before when you had approved that NEO do this, and then through the complex process of really dissecting all of the rules that go along with the 125 plan, it took a little bit more looking at and reviewing. We wanted to make sure it was right. So it will be retroactive to October 1st of 2015, and we will ensure that the employee has their summary plan description in their hand outlining this plan. I'm sure they're going to be very confused, because it's not a simple issue. But basically the 125 is how taxes, or how their contributions are taken out of their paycheck. But again, along with that are a lot of rules, regulations, and documentation that needs to be compiled before an employee can just decide to come off of the plan. Is that, you know, I
Yeah,
thought
this is an
about that.
IRS requirement,
Yeah, I thought
and
about-
and most every employee offers this option because it makes sense. And like
Mhm.
Kathy said, there's a couple people, for whatever reason, maybe they consulted a tax professional. In their case, it's better not to do that, but for the average person, there's an advantage. You save a little bit on your taxes because
Absolutely.
you're not being taxed on the part you're contributing to your healthcare.
Mhm. I mean, it's definitely a benefit to the employee. The only thing, and I probably shouldn't even say this, but I really question, why wouldn't you want to do this? And apparently, if an employee is filling out a long tax form, I think sometimes this could come into play with that. But for the majority of us who aren't having that many complex tax issues, it seems to be quite a benefit. But the intriguing part about this is that if an employee takes after tax, we would still administer those same rules as far as coming on and off the plan. I mean, subcode demands that we're just not allowed to do that. That's why we have an open enrollment period where if someone, and we just finished that as of October 26th, but that's the time for an employee to say, hey, I want to take some dependents off, and there's no question about it, no documentation necessary. They can do what they want in their health care plan. But once January 1st starts, if an employee decides, I don't want my wife, I don't want my children on there, there has to be documentation. Why don't you want them on, or why is your deduction going to change? And so if we were to ever, have anyone look at our plan, we would have that documentation in place saying, this is why this employee went from 92 to 37 and so on. So, yeah.
No questions?
The Commissioner's Office is requesting the Board approve and execute the Geauga County Commissioners Section 125 plan with premium payment component developed by the NEO Administration Company to be effective October 1st, 2015, and further approve and acknowledge the Section 125 summary plan description that will be distributed to all employees.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spiller?
Aye.
Commissioner Clickwell?
Thank you very much.
Thank you for all your work.
And Laura
And Laura.
LaChapelle, very much so.
He's standing by. He's on the phone.
Commissioner's Office is requesting the Board move into executive session with their attorney to discuss pending and/or imminent litigation and to obtain informational legal advice.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spiller?
Aye.
Commissioner Clickwell?
Aye.
Will there be any announcements?
So you don't make any noise.
Okay, we're on. Let the record show we're back in
Yeah,
10,
yeah.
18. 18?
No action.
No action.
Okay.
I move to
Well,
adjourn.
before we-
Oops, go ahead.
I would like to see, as far as this, I just had Heidi pull this up. Right now, for total unappropriated funds that are in the special projects funds for that probate court, they're showing $23,839.63. I would feel that before we make any motions for any kind of dollars forward on this, is to see if we can utilize those funds towards these legal fees.
We can certainly look into
Before
That's, the fund is, where is that fund?
this special projects fund that seems to be getting used for a number of different things. And at this point in time, why are we gonna pay county tax dollars when there's $23,000 right there? I think that,
So this is the court's money.
right,
I don't know if did she explain that item was on the financial today, I believe it was 10,000, is that part of that?
well, I think that was out of juvenile. There's two funds, there's
Oh,
juvenile,
okay,
there's
this-
probate.
okay, that's the other one,
And if this
okay.
action was out of the probate division,
Yeah, but weren't they transferring the money from juvenile to probate?
no, that was through the flip fund. But
But I thought they
Right.
transferred it to special projects, didn't
No, they
they?
didn't, no, they were paying a probate expense out of the flip fund.
It's a real interesting question you
Yeah.
raise,
Yeah.
as to
I think we need
whether.
to look into it.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
So,
It is.
and we'll look into a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.